Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for January 2022, the Visibility Edition. And we begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal as the Securities and Exchange Commission is pushing for more transparency from private corporations. The SEC commissioner, the SEC's top regulator, has begun work on a plan to require more private companies to routinely disclose information about their finances and operations, according to a semi-annual rulemaking agenda. It also is considering tightening the qualifications that investors must meet to access private markets and increasing the information that some non-public companies must file with the agency. Democratic SEC Commissioner Allison Lee has led the call for this change. That's going to be interesting for the compliance practitioner. Next up, Whole Foods claims a constitutional right not to allow, or to ban, I should say, workers from having Black Lives Matters face covering for COVID-19. So this seems like a particularly bizarre claim by Whole Foods, but they claim it violates their copyright and constitutional rights by allowing employees to wear these masks. So no really word on why Whole Foods would want to piss off a whole set of employees, other than perhaps they're worried that magma hat wearing Whole Foods shoppers will be upset. Next up, from This Week in Asia, yet another story about the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, as it has dug its heels in after top deputies in the agencies offered a full-throated backing of their boss over allegations that the head of the agency was involved in improper share trading. The deputy commissioners said it was simply a false news whistleblower story aimed at maligning the head of the agency. Veteran lawmakers in the country also criticized this circling of the wagons, so it's not going to clear at this point what will happen to the head of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. And finally, from the Financial Times, a interesting article in the Big Read entitled, "Is There an End in Sight to Supply Chain Disruption?" Delays caused by the pandemic are certainly likely to continue into 2022, but how have you as a compliance professional really work with your supply chain to help ameliorate those or protect those risks from the compliance perspective? Check out the article. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.